Hey, it's Christopher, and welcome back to Watching, Winning, and Wrecking Podcasts. A little help there from Mr. USA Hacksaw Jim Duggan, one of the most underrated characters of the 1990s, late 80s, early 90s WWF, now known as the WWE. It's only fitting, right, Mr. USA? July 4th coming up. Independence Day in America. Road America. Oh, it's going to be that weekend, so Road America and American Independence Day is only fitting, right? So Kyle Larson, man, can anyone stop him? He's just got a stranglehold. Why bother watching anymore, right? Some of the folks are thinking, hey, he's going to win them all. Well, he won this one. So first race has been quite documented at Nashville, Tennessee, Music City. In 10 years. So Kyle Larson's stranglehold on the Cup Series continues. He wins his third consecutive race and fourth of 2021, and now leads the Cups. Just consecutively, just narrowly behind Denny Hamlin. 6 points behind him for the lead. But what I was trying to say kind of got tripped over myself there. Easy for me to say. This is the 6th consecutive week that Larson has either finished 1 or 2. And that includes his win at the All-Star race. And this all dates back to May the 2nd. So it's just been 2 months of Kyle Larson just whipping him. And Larson is now tied his career high for wins in a season at 4. Set back in 2017 when he was still driving for Chip Ganassi in the Target car. And he's going to surpass that, I think, pretty easily. And his equity continues to grow when it comes to his value at Hendrick Motorsports. And sponsorship is going to be lining up for soon. I know that's always a big question for him. You know, Valvoline, longtime sponsor for Hendrick, HendrickCars.com. So that's what you've been seeing on the hood, Nation's Guard. Expect a full-on announcement soon for his sponsorship deals, for not only for the rest of the season, but going the next year. I know times are tough in NASCAR and sponsorship, but I think he's going to attract a big-name sponsor, maybe someone outside of the sport, and it's off to the races for Kyle Larson, figuratively and literally. So he's been flawless in this last 2 months, and who has anything for him? The Joe Gibbs Racing car. The amazing Amanda, my partner, broke the news to me yesterday. It's not really news, as we all kind of seen this coming, but it is now official. Keselowski will be exiting Penske Racing at the end of 2021. Stewart-Haas Racing is in a funk. They have nothing for the Hendrick car. So who is going to stop Hendrick and Kyle Larson's dominance? It's going to come from within. It's going to be point. I don't see anybody disrupting what that organization is doing and how great they've been doing it. The only thing that's getting more headlines these days, and Amanda loves this too, is Natalie Decker's bare ass on her Instagram post. It's her birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Decker. You're far more famous for your exploits on Instagram and social media than you are in driving skills. But that being said, hope you had a really good birthday, and sun's out, ass out, I guess, or buns out, whatever you want to say. But anyway, NASCAR Horny Police is all over that. Woo, 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 woo. Call the police. And that Decker here, I just think it's absolutely silly. But Hendrick Motorsports now going for 5 consecutive wins. Last time they've done, now 6. Same thing. Fall of 2007 was the last time, and this was won by, obviously, usual suspects, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon. So the last time Hendrick has won at Pocono, so maybe the double at Pocono is where Hendrick finally has a hiccup and their snafu, where the rest of the field can stop the bleeding. It's been since 2014 when Dale Jr. swept both Pocono events. That's when Pocono events were held in June. And then in late July, you remember the bump and run on Keselowski. And I'm not betting against them. I'm not saying they're going to win both, but they're going to at least take one, right? It's at Larson. So Larson leads 264 of the 300 land at Nashville. Fourth time this season Larson has had at least 200 laps. And the fifth time he's led more than half the distance of the race in total. So this is his coming out party. You know, Larson's been around a long time. But you know when things just click? Chemistry. And that can be for anything in life. That could be for a relationship, like me and Amanda. It's just written in the stars. We gel really well. A movie director and an actor. Any of the four major sports where things just gel. Kind of got that going on right now with Montreal and NHL. They're just gelling. Same can be said for Phoenix and the NBA. They're just gelling. That's what's happening with Larson and Hendrick. You're witnessing history in the making. And it's a sight to behold for sure. I mean, there's a lot of haters out there that are right now upset with the quality of NASCAR. But this is all coming together, and it is fucking marvelous to watch it each and every week. And I am becoming a huge guy. He's this good. He's seen by many as a generational talent. He's seen as the second coming of whomever. I don't like those comparisons, and you know that. I don't believe we should be comparing people and the accolades they've achieved in a different era and compared it to now, because the game has changed so much. But if you want to make those comparisons, you look at Jeff Gordon and what he did in 1998, and to me that was the quintessential season of excellence. And you won't find too many people that are going to disagree with that. And that was in 33 races, and look what he did. So I did a little note-taking, which I always do. And Jeff Gordon is in the news, so we'll touch on this now. We're not going to veer off too far off course here, but Jeff Gordon will be leaving Fox booth after a couple years, only in the booth. Had a really good, I think he was great for the sport. He brought his vast knowledge, one of the winningest driver in our lifetime, in our era, 93 wins. Was excellent behind the mic, but I think he's taken the VP position with Hendrick Motorsports. He's been ingrained in that culture for nearly 4 decades. It is something that I think Jeff wanted to do for a while, and he's had a big hand in the 48 car when Jimmy Johnson was there. He was the part owner of that car. He was responsible for Jimmy Johnson and the success Jimmy Johnson achieved and enjoyed. We'll be missing him on Sundays and when Fox does their coverage again in 2022, but it leaves the door open for somebody. I hope there's a good hire. I know Mike Joyce, completely solid. He's been around forever, when back to the CBS days, and he is quite knowledgeable, fantastic on the mic. I don't think there's too many that are better. Some might argue Ken Squire. Benny Parsons was great. Bob Jenkins, who's going through some health issues at the moment, so hope he pulls the nose up, but it's not likely. I think he has terminal cancer. But nonetheless, these were the voices of our childhood. We talk about that a lot. Like, who do you go back to? Like Vin Scully of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He was the voice of that team for so many years. Sunday Night Baseball for me. I mean, I cannot watch a Sunday Night Baseball telecast anymore. It was John Miller and Joe Morgan for me. And that makes a lot of sense, but who can be that voice for Fox? I mean, Clint Boyer has done an okay job. I mean, I think he's settling into that role behind the mic, but it'll be interesting to see in the coming months who Fox targets or would like to put in the booth. Perhaps put a female broadcaster, Jamie Little, maybe to call some races. I think that would be monumental, as you know, we're talking a lot about equality in society today, and you know, she's been doing the ARCA races, and I think it'd be great to see that. And Portland Trailblazers hired Chauncey Billups, but Becky Hammond was in the running to become the first female NBA coach. That's pretty cool, but make that happen, people. It's the same thing what's going on in Canada right now. I'm a First Nations person, as you might know, when you listen to this podcast, and there's a lot of shit going on, man. That is heartbreaking to hear every day, the numbers of bodies discovered in the Catholic Church and church and state, how they own everything and dictate everything, and you have people they want to oppress that. Counterculture, that's what it is. It's like standing up for yourself. And it's hard for me to think about these things, but I think everybody does deserve a chance at equality, and I think one day maybe we'll see my people at the forefront of governing pretty much our own country. As controversial as that is to say on a podcast or anywhere, I just think that we got to take back what's ours and do it, but do it peacefully, and do it where we pull the nose up and we're the better people, knocking down monuments. I know, and that's the thing. It's you have to make some noise to be heard. Do a little Texas song, kick a little, and we will make our point. And I think things will be good. And I just think that in a world that, by design, everybody lives in peace and harmony, but that's not the case, unfortunately. It's a pretty cruel place we live in at times, and can be so beautiful. Seeing, your children and being with your partner, and just there's a lot of beauty out there, but there's a lot of darkness as well. But I think it's mostly, let's focus on the beauty and focus on that we have air to breathe every day. We have sunshine. We have people to love. We have things we enjoy, like my hat collection, NASCAR. So I digress. I'm getting really off course here, but I'm just trying to say that I think it all goes back to equality, and I think it's time that some barriers are broken in pro sports and in society. So back to the comparison to Larson and Gordon, the numbers are eerily similar from 98. So Larson in 2021 has collected 4 wins through 17 races. Gordon did the same in 98. And 98 went on to win 13 races in a 33-race schedule. Larson can even add to that total if he's lucky, because you have the additional 3 races. Top 5 is fairly similar. Gordon had 11, Larson has 10. The top 10s are again even, 12 on 12. DNFs are even, 1 on 1. So it's just saying how close the numbers are, that Larson could put together a Jeff Gordon-esque season and forever cement his legacy as being one of the, not only the top stars of the sport today, but maybe of the future. Well, we're talking in 20 years that Kyle Larson, how magnificent he is, and it's well deserved. This is a guy who is in another stratosphere, and it's just, things are clicking for him, and I'm so happy for him. Through 17 races in a 36-race season, Larson has already eclipsed his previous season best of laps led, and he'd been out front for 1,426 laps, and his previous best was 1,352 laps, and that was in 2017. So it seemed like in 17, things are really coming together for him at Ganassi in the 42 car. They had the sponsorship, the backing of Target, but I think when Target left, they decided to leave NASCAR, I believe, after the 2018 season. I think that was, we talk a lot about when things change and game changers and things of that nature. That was for Ganassi, and I feel like Ganassi has been trying to catch up since then. I'm not so sure that he'd be enjoying the success he's enjoying today, but there's 2 sides to every story. And Ganassi, in their defense, I think they're doing really well with Ross Chastain right now. He finished second in this race, which we're going to talk about momentarily. And Kurt Busch has seen some signs of life. So Ganassi's not completely screwed here, for those who think this is all Kyle Larson play. And again, the conspiracy theories will live on that he manipulated and maneuvered to get out his way out of Ganassi to get the Hendrick ride, because he's been on Hendrick's radar for a number of years. I think once his contract had expired with Ganassi, there would be a bidding war for his services. and rightfully so. 10 career wins for Larson. He now is tied with Sterling Marlin, Clint Boyer, Donnie Allison, and next up, he'll be chasing for 13 wins. Current teammate Chase Elliott and Hendrick Motorsports' alumni Tim Richmond. What a career he could have had he not been cut short by contracting HIV and AIDS, and who knows how good he could have been. So Hendricks had those stories of what could have been. Maybe with Kyle Busch as well. Had Kyle Busch remained in the fold, how good if Kyle Busch would have been at Hendrick? That would have been tenfold than what he's already done there. So let's go to the NASCAR report, one of our favorite things to do on this broadcast, and read what the masses are saying about Kyle Larson. Another win. Oh, the horror. Everybody's going to be so pissed. He continues to just take everybody to the woodshed each and every week, and what a fucking travesty. But I couldn't be happier. I'm really enjoying Larson's success here. All right, so let's go to that report. I'm going to dial it up here. Here we go. Larson wins Nashville. Posted 6 days ago. We're late with the broadcast this week, but I wanted to get it out. Big racing weekend, Pocono. Got the truck race later today, a couple hours. The first of the twin races for the Cup Series. So when we keep talking about Nashville, what did you think of Nashville? I thought it was a snooze fest. It was not a great race. I'm glad Larson won, but it was a terrible race. I thought, a lot of rich tradition, 50-some years since Cup Series has run that track, but I just don't know if there's a reason that track disappeared for 10 years is what I'm trying to get at. So Johnny Campbell 03 said that track and that package was incredible, so somebody liked what they saw. And then Jacob King, who's a regular on this program we talk about on this Instagram thread, 1204 says to Johnny Campbell, agreed. So there was some fans of Music City. It was a smash hit. It was the Chattahoochee of races. Matt C489 to Johnny Campbell 3. Hopefully it stays good next year with the next gen car. So positive feedback here for Nashville. Jet Ski Rambot to Johnny Campbell. I don't know why the truck race was so terrible, but the Xfinity and Monster series were impeccable. Oh, it was impeccable, but did you realize that Monster hasn't been the title sponsor for the series in 2 years? Wah, wah. Jacob Everson, another guy we heard, back to Ramble. The truck race was terrible. Just not great compared to the other races. My guess is that cooler temperatures on the concrete played a massive role in it. Seems like this truck will be the best during the day when it's hot and slick, surprisingly. And then jet ski back to Jacob. As a Bowman fan who was complaining the whole time, I love this race. And Racing Fan 9, hey guys, here's 2 things you should know in case you didn't know. Kyle Larson is a different breed. This is proof that the 550 horsepower package needs to go bye-bye. Okay, so again, we're talking semantics. We're talking about aero packages. We're talking about horsepower, what's under the hood. Next gen car is going to debut next year, and you're going to hear the same complaints. Well, this next gen car is a piece of crap. It's garbage. This racing is shit. You're never going to please anybody. And yes, you're right, Larson is a different breed. He is a rare specimen that continues to flex his muscle over the competition and is going to win a lot more races this year. So you are dead on, sir. And the other replies to him, jet ski to the Racing Fan 9. That was by far some of the best racing we've seen this year. What are you talking about? Dennis Corliss, today's race. I know. That's why I said the 550 package needs to go. And he's got that sad fish emoji. Quapple Nation. I can't believe there's someone who is that much of a Travis Quapple fan that he has his own nation. All 3 races this weekend were great. Coslow, he should start 2 laps down or something. So not happy with Larson's. He'd still find a way to beat these fuckers. Bradley K21 to Coslow. He'd still find a way to the front by the end of the first stage. LOL. I agree 100%. And then Jimmy Logano So Jimmy Logano. So I guess he decided to take Jimmy Johnson and Joey Logano. Is that his take on Sweet? Like the old Candy Crush game? Remember that? Sweet. Trevor Sports 98. Jimmy Logano. 4 in a row. I stand correct. He stands corrected, not me. Brandon Wog to drag Trevor Sports, but only 3-point races. So who cares? Come on. Again, this is so silly. So Trevor Sports back to Brandon. All-star race counts as a win. So 4 in a row. Well, it counts as a win, yes, in the all-star race. It doesn't count as a victory in the record books. So let's just clear that up. And then these two go on and on here. Let's try to find, we see someone else. Just going back and forth here. This is where these trends can get silly, right? Okay, I'm going to cut it off. I think it's just back and forth about how they're talking about the overall performance of the car and how Larson's doing well. They're not saying points paying or an exhibition race. I think there's a bit of confusion. Yes, he's been stellar in the last 2 months, as we see in the tread there. So let's move on. Ross Chastain, career day, 2nd place finish. Team has looked really well. Has looked like they're marching toward the front in recent weeks. Leads 4 laps here. Had enough fuel to win. Interesting enough, there was chatter on the radio toward the end of the race that a lot of the lead cars didn't have enough fuel to make it to the finish. Ross Chastain did. So 2 top 5s in 2021, and his 2nd in the last 4 races. So that's where we say the consistency. Things are starting to come together. 3 top 5s in the last 4 races. 3 top 10s, and the organization is trending in the right direction in recent weeks, and there's still a fighting chance for this team. If he can win, there's another road course next week, Road America, Watkins Glen. He seems to become quite the road racer. He was really strong at the Circuit of Americas, looked good at Sonoma. If that's his ticket, punches his ticket in, then fine. There's also Daytona. Anything can happen there. Who knows? Maybe he can win at Pocono. Ross Chastain is starting to really develop as a talent that I think Ganassi was incredibly smart to get. He was going to be a part of this team's plans regardless. I think had Larson not been let go, they would have found a way to incorporate him into the team. And I think he is really excelling in this opportunity. It's going to be a younger lineup at Ganassi next year. I don't see Kurt Busch returning to this car, so I think you're going to see a much younger lineup. Chastain is going to be at the forefront of that. And I think Chip Ganassi Racing, is as bad as they've looked this season, is starting to turn the nose up, and it's really good to see. Taking a drink there. Sorry. Nas Energy. Keep me going through this podcast. William Byron, 3rd place finish. 7th top 5 of 2021. And 4th in the last 6 races. 3rd in the points and had a really strong day at the All-Star race. Was the best Hendrick of the Hendrick Chevrolets, but didn't get the win. And lately he's been really up there with Larson. I think Bowman and Elliott's had his issues with the disqualifications we'll talk about. But Byron has surpassed now his career high in top 5s a few weeks ago at 7 and counting. And top 10s, he is 2 away from surpassing the career high of 14 set in 2022. That little streak he went on a few weeks back, as you remember, 10 races consecutive, is what really elevated Byron. And I think Byron is one of those guys, again, we talk about sleepers for the championship. William Byron fits that bill, and he is 2021. An abysmal year for this team, showing signs of life as of late. He makes the All-Star race, and this was Eric Almirola's best finish since Richmond, and his first top 5 of the year. And the last top 5 for him was back at Bristol in September of 2020. So Stewart-Haas Racing, for whatever reason, has taken a couple steps back, And that's because the roster is shuffled. They got rid of Daniel Suarez. Clint Boyer was, I think, forced into retirement because I don't think there was going to be plans for him at this team. Eric Almirola has the backing of Smithfield. He said that at Texas in the All-Star race that they have his back, and that's great to have because I think that's what could keep him in this car. Playoff appearance is not likely this year. I think too much to make up and too little time to do it. We have 8 races remaining going into this event at Pocono. Just not a lot of time left for him to make up that kind of ground. And it's unfortunate because if he does get hot, he is going to be likely left on the outside looking, but he has to win, and he has to feel good about going to a place like Daytona in late August. This is a place that he runs really well on the plate races, and it doesn't matter how you get in the end. It's the fact of the matter is you made it. And now, is this team a championship team? Hell no, but they are still a team that I think enjoyed years of success. It's how they bounce back from this one. I say if he is kept in the 10, Smithfield decides to back him again. Stewart-Haas Racing, they say, let's wipe the slate clean. It was a tough year. Let's build on that for next year. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's where you're going to be is Almirola fit in this organization? Because he's only had the one win in 4 years here. So how long is the leash going to be? And is Almirola one of those drivers that would be better suited to maybe going back to the Xfinity Series, maybe going back to the Truck Series, where he can be competitive each and every week? It's a possibility. Kevin Harvick, 5th place finish. First top 5 for Harvick since his runner-up finish at Kansas, and 8th in the points. 5 top 5s in 2021. That number is a bit down. 12 top 10s. The Gravedigger paint scheme was a hit. I didn't care for it really, but the legendary monster truck known in the Nashville area, so that was pretty cool. It's got that really nice apple paint scheme this week, the Busch apple, and Amanda secured me that hat. Thank you, baby. I love that. So that's a great hat. The Brewdog one's pretty cool too. That'll be coming out in July. So 300 top 5s for Stewart-Haas Racing by virtue of Almirola and Harvick, their success at Music City, USA. And that's quite the accomplishment for Stewart-Haas Racing. And here's a team, and you all know the history. He is going to be the only driver from Stewart-Haas to make the playoffs. I think Harvick is safe. Regardless of what happens, a win would be nice. He's got a real shot at this at Pocono. Really does. But this is a team that was known as CNC Haas Racing, had a plethora of drivers in the pantheon of Haas Motorsports, or CNC Haas. Gene Haas was the owner. Brought in Tony Stewart as a part owner. That happened in 2009. I think it's very Brad Keselowski-esque that Roush Hunter Racing is going to see the same type of success. As soon as Tony Stewart arrived there, brought in Ryan Newman. It was a flick of the switch. The organization won championships, 2 of them, and has had quality, caliber drivers behind the wheel. And that's no disrespect to the likes of Ward Burton, Mike Bliss, Jeff Green, Johnny Sauter, Jason Leffler. The list goes on and on. They just had really lackluster guys that hadn't had a lot of success. Jack Sprague drove there. I know that didn't quite. The whole point was that Jack Sprague was going to be as successful as he was in Trucks and Cup. Never materialized. But this team, for them to reach 300 top 5s is quite an accomplishment. So big shout out to Tony Stewart and Stewart-Haas Racing. That is a honorable accolade in motorsports and especially in NASCAR. 300 top 5s. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has a big day. 6th place finish for him. Best race of the year. That was the comments with the NBC broadcasters. So let's pause for a moment on Stenhouse. Let's talk about the NBC coverage. Amanda's kind of turns to me and says, I don't really like this coverage as much as the Fox coverage. Takes a little getting used to, but I kind of really like the fact that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is behind the mic. If you listen to his Dale Jr. download on this Dirty Mo radio station, Great speaker, very eloquent in the way he speaks. Knows the ins and outs of the sport. He grew up in this sport, so I like that. Jeff Burton's pretty insightful. Rick Allen is fantastic on the mic, but you're right. It didn't have that same. I think Fox really had a great season, and I found myself missing them a bit too. And I know NBC coverage will be fine, but I found myself also feeling like I really would like to hear Fox do this race. So Stenhouse Jr., he got a lot of screen time this week, and his best race of the year, despite, he did run second at the Bristol Dirt Race and in March, and he's really good, but needs a win to get in. But these strong runs like this could get him closer to get in on the points in the playoffs. But this team, JTG Doherty, needs something like this. They need a win because you have Ryan Preece in a few weeks. We don't know what's going to happen with that car. They might run it as an open car for the rest of the year. Good for 24 races. That we're inching so close to that 24. And Preece, we'll talk about him when the truck run down, his win. But for Stenhouse, he is going to be the anchor here. He's going to be the future of this organization. I know he's in a contract year himself. I don't know what becomes of this organization, but I know they need to have good runs like this, and it's nice to see Stenhouse up front. A talented driver, I think, that often gets a bad rap, but he had a lot of experience here, as the Xfinity Series did run here for a couple years while he was in, the top dog in that series. So it makes a lot of sense that he had the know-how to get around this racetrack. But runs like this are inspiring, and I'd say is that there's a lot left in Ricky Stenhouse. I know a lot of people think that he should not be in the Cup Series. He doesn't deserve this ride, but I think he's still a quality driver that has a lot to offer. Daniel Suarez, a 7th-place finish, 3rd top 10 finish in 2021, and counting for Empire, that is, Trackhouse. A lot of news about them this week, that the owners, Justin Marks and Pitbull, want to station that team in Nashville, have the race shop there, and become a global phenomenon. That is, they want Trackhouse to be a brand more than just a race team. 21st in the points, is going to need a win to get in, but strong top 15 runs in the past few weeks for this team, and that goes a long way for the future success of Trackhouse, who plans on adding another car next year to the stable. Daniel Suarez had his best career finish at Pocono a few years back, so why not him this week? Why not give him an opportunity to run well? And this Trackhouse team has exceeded all expectation, has outclassed 2311, and there's a lot of hype with 2311 as we talk about each and every week. But Daniel Suarez is a talented driver. He's a championship driver. I think we often forget, because of his short tenure with Joe Gibbs Racing and Stuart Haas Racing, that there's a lot of talent in this driver, and he is a championship driver, and he deserves to run really well. And he gains a lot of ground here, has a 17 in the points, creeping so line, and I still think Busch has a real good shot to make this playoff for Chip Ganassi Racing on the one car. Leads 3 laps, and is really, I think, in this next 8 to 10 races, auditioning for a ride next year, whether it be with 2311, Ganassi, or if he resigns with Ganassi or goes to Trackhouse. Kurt Busch, sure, really, but runs like this, I'd like to see him still make the playoff, but really Chris Buescher, we'll talk about in a minute, gained a lot of ground on him, took advantage of bad days like that, and that's the same thing available here for 2 drivers, barring the fact that somebody different does win a race. That's not Harvick, that's not Hamlin, that's not Austin Dillon, because those 3, I think, are pretty safe at this point. Christopher Bell, a 9th-place finish, 6th top 10 of 2021, and his first since Richmond. The team is 14th in points, 1 top 10 away from tying his total from last year at 7, and will likely surpass that. And this is getting a learning year for Christopher Bell. I expect him to be back with the 20 car next year in JGR. He had his first year with Levine Family, a satellite team. Had, some okay success in that car, but nothing to write home about. And I think Bell, again, a lot of this year is serving as more seat time. The learning curve is what it is really for him. I expect him to be a major star in the sport, but I think this year he's going to get a taste of the playoffs. He's going to know what it's like to compete in that 10-race battle for the championship. But I'm not expecting a whole lot out of him, but I think a few more good runs are in the cards for him. Joey Logano, a 10th-place finish. 10th top 10 for him in 2021, 5th in the points. Sleeper pick to win the championship and be in that Final Four. 4 top 10s in the last 5 races. So just when you think you forget about how good Joey Logano is, just because he's been overshadowed by Hendrick, Joe Gibbs Racing this year, when they were having their great runs with Martin Truex Jr., that Logano is still a quality driver. Logano is still a driver that each and every week when we go into the races has an opportunity to come out of there victorious. And I think we often forget how good Joey Logano is. And Kyle Busch, 11th place finish here, led 10 laps, had to run up front and really floundered in the race as time went on. 6th in the points. The top 10 streak ends. His top 10 streak ends at 3 here again. But 10 top 10s overall, and a big day for him on Nashville Saturday as he wins his 100th Xfinity win. But continues to keep up with Hendrick. I know he faded in the back, but he was running up front. Disappointing day for him. Thought he had some issues with the car. But he is, out of the JGR drivers in recent weeks, has been able to keep up with Hendrick. Has run up front with them. Nearly won the Coke 600. Wasn't close, but had a caution come out. Could have been up there battling with the other Kyle. Larson, that is. And I still think Kurt Busch has a lot left in... Kyle Busch. And Kurt, too. They have a lot left in the tank, and it could have been a worse day for him, but 11th place is pretty strong. And same for Austin Dillon, 12th place finish, 11th in the points. 9 out of the last 10 races, top 15 finishes. That's why he is 109 points above the cut line. Pretty good territory right now, barring a disastrous next couple of weeks. Is likely to make the championship again, the playoffs, and a win would really pad his stats and really keep him secure. But he'll make the playoffs, I think, for the 5th time in his career, and is often overlooked as a strong driver in the Cup Series. But I think this year he's proven he really belongs in this series, that he's just not there because of what his last name is and who owns the car. And I think that's huge for him. And going back now to families in the sport, Kyle Petty, Amanda Season then says, there's Collinsworth's son, I think his name's Jack, the guy that does the Sunday Night Football broadcast, great broadcaster. Son has a little bit of him in him. I think you could say that was Collinsworth's son. And Dale Jarrett, who's a great championship driver. But you see Kyle Petty in the center, and she goes, who the fuck is that? I'm like, it's Kyle Petty. It's Richard Petty's son. She goes, oh, he's disgusting. And he is. I mean, not a really good-looking man, that long-ass ponytail. He has a bit of a chip on his shoulder, too. I know he had a feud there with Denny Hamlin for a bit, and how he, I ride off my daddy's coattails, and I know I'm a shitty driver. I only won 8 races, or whatever the fuck he was talking about. And, and it's questionable what happened with him and his first wife. I'm not going to, like I said, I don't like to make this the TMZ of the podcast, or US Weekly, or Star, or the Inquirer, any of those rags you see at the checkout line. But it's questionable how him and his current wife had met, and they say that his marriage to his first wife deteriorated, the loss of Adam Petty, and that was a huge blow. But it doesn't seem too ethical how he met her, and I'm not a big Kyle Petty fan. I always found him to be a bit pretentious, and he's a loudmouth. He was really harsh on Danica Patrick a lot at the time of her career, and I don't know. The guy just seems like he oozes of greasiness, and is a greasy guy, and is just not someone who I think, like, a lot of people get fooled by him. I don't know him personally, so maybe I'm totally off base here by shredding somebody I don't know personally. But I don't know. You could see a lot from somebody in their character on television and what type of guy he really is. And he could be a really sweet guy. He could be a really cool guy. I know he does a lot for charity. His charity ride, he had the Victory Gang Junction Camp, easy for me to say. But, you hear about him and he get fired from Petty Enterprises, and you fear, he's had a lot of dust-ups at driver. I think him and Lake Speed had a fight a couple decades ago, and he just was presenting himself as this rebel kid, the son of tradition, and Richard Petty, and how he was the yin and yang. You had Richard, who was the traditionalist, wearing that cowboy hat and revered by America, and seems to be, an American hero. And then you have this guy who's got the long, stringy hair, and like to piss off some of the veterans, and then even in a storyline when he drove an Xfinity car back in the day when it was still the Busch Series, the NWO, where they worked it into the wrestling storyline. He says, "Come drive." He says, "Hulk Hogan told me, why don't you come drive the NWO car?" And it's not even. Hulk Hogan doesn't even own the car. The NWO is a sponsorship for Turner, who owned the entity of the NWO and WCW. There was a WCW car. Diamond Ridge was running, driven by Steve Grissom. Elliott Sadler, Lance Hooper drove that car. I think, no, Lance Hooper was Richard Jackson, so let's take him out. But anyway, Elliott Sadler and Steve Grissom, and among others, who drove that car. And they almost made it look like it was a war on the racetrack, like storyline, like it was in wrestling with WCW and the NWO. And, it's, again, and then the announcers are selling, like Tony Schiavone and legend Larry Zbyszko, Bobby Heenan, where, he turned his back on tradition, driving the NWO cars. Just some silly shit, but Kyle Petty, anyway, he is, I don't know, not a fan. Amanda's not a fan, so fuck you, Kyle Petty. Corey LaJoie, 15th place finish. Streak of top 20 finishes continues, increases to 4. His best finish since his 9th at the Daytona 500. Spire is moving in the right direction. They made the news this week as well. We'll talk about that soon. But no need to fear. Corey LaJoie is signed through the next 2 years in this car. The charter remains in place. So the 7 car is only going to become, I think, a bigger factor on race day. So it's good to see. And Anthony Alfredo, a 17th place finish. He was inside the top 10 all afternoon. Second top 20 finish in the last 4 races. So a really good story for front row, and Michael McDowell was up there as well in the top 20. So this is a team that is, again, like it's been their mantra throughout their NASCAR Cup Series history that they continue to run up front, or run near the front at least, and despite not having maybe some of the resources that the Hendrick has, or Joe Gibbs Racing has. So front row motorsports. Good day for Anthony Alfredo, Mr. Fast Pasta. And now to our disappointments of the race. Chase Elliott, a 39th place finish. 4 loose lug nuts. His nuts were just a little loose. It's not good to have loose nuts, I don't want them hanging. 13th place finish. Evaporates to his worst finish of 2021. And only his third finish of 38th. Finish of 38th. Sorry here. Only his third finish of 38 or worse in 29 races. So that's not bad. But a bit of a deflation for Chase Elliott, because I think Chase Elliott would like to get a couple more wins and be right up there with his teammate Kyle Larson. Chris Buescher, heartbreak of the day, 36th place finish, ending a 6-week string of top 20 finishes. His worst finish of 2021. And is now only 26 points above the cut line heading into Pocono. Just 8 races left before the playoffs begin. And Kurt is really hot on his heels. So Buescher is going to have to run extremely conservative, but yet be aggressive if he wants to secure his position for the playoffs and maybe remain with Roush-Faven Racing, as Keselowski is now part owner. I don't know if his future is 100% secured with that organization. Ryan Blaney, a 37th place finish, loses his brakes, slams the wall pretty hard, and vicious hit. Worst finish of 2021. Loses the brakes, as we said, on lap 53. And tough day for him. Up and down year for Blaney and the Penske organization, and hasn't had a top 5 finish since his win at Atlanta, so that seems like that was eons ago. So Ryan Blaney, let's hope he gets things turned in the right direction. But Penske is an organization with a lot of decisions to make in the coming months and seems to be in flux at the moment. So we're going to skip ahead here to some news items before we end our podcast soon. But let's get to the news first of the week. I'm just flipping through my pages here. Excuse me. Okay, here we go. So let's start off here with Bowman, Alex Bowman, last Friday. So on Friday, June the 18th, signed an extension to remain with Hendrick Motorsports. It's a 2-year contract that will keep him in the car through 2023. And Bowman will continue to be sponsored by Ally, driving the 48 Chevrolet. And Bowman joined Hendrick Motorsports in 2016 following 2 lackluster years with BK Racing and Tommy Baldwin Racing. In 2016, Bowman ran 10 races in relief of Dale Earnhardt Jr., who was battling concussion-like symptoms at the time, and who sat out the second half of the season. And in 2018, Bowman became the full-time driver, assuming duties of the number 88 Chevrolet. And Bowman, in his first season with driving the 48 car, has won 2 races this year and has made the playoffs in all 4 seasons with Hendrick Motorsports and has 4 career wins. So this is a big signing for Bowman. Bowman is proof to a lot of those other young drivers in the same vein of a Matt DiBenedetto or a Corey LaJoie, where they want to be. They've made it, to no disrespect to their current team owners that they were with at the time, but wanted to be in competitive cars. And at the time, if you look back at 2000, before 2016, when he was running for BK Racing and Tommy Baldwin, if you would have told me Alex Bowman was going to become a winner, I would have said, not a chance. Was he ever going to run with Hendrick Motorsports? Not a chance. So Dale Jr. was instrumental in selecting him to drive this car in his absence, and it's paid off dividends for Hendrick and Bowman. Bowman is emerging as one of the rising stars of the sport, and again, proving the genius that is Hendrick Motorsports. And you can put mostly anybody in his equipment, and they will find their way to the winner circle. Colleague Racing purchases 2 charters from Spire. This also occurred on June the 18th. Spire has announced that Justin Haley, not a big surprise, will drive full-time in the Cup Series with Colleague Racing in 2022. Rookie team, but has a lot of success in the Xfinity Series, and the few races they run in the Cup Series is well documented anytime Colleague is in a Cup race, whether it's at Kaz Grala or AJ Allmendinger, the results are there. And they will also continue to run in the Xfinity Series and announce that AJ Allmendinger will run the other charter, but on a part-time basis. Just going to take a drink here. One moment. And that also could pave the way potentially for Jeb Burton or Kaz Grala, if he remains with the organization, to run select Cup races. And as we said, the other charter that Spire has will stay with Corey LaJoie, who will enter the season of 2022 secured and will not run an open car. And AJ Allmendinger, as I said, on a part-time basis. And Haley's been with Colleague now since 2019, full-time in Xfinity. 3 wins last season and made the Final 4 in the championship and finished a respectable 3rd. He has 1 Cup win, an upset at Daytona in July of 2019 for Spire, and has won in all 3 series. So it's a great accomplishment for him. He's only one of 36 drivers to do that. And having a bit of an off year this year, starting to run a little bit better, but has run a part-time schedule for Spire since 2019, and has run 15 races for them to date in the Cup Series, and has looked pretty good at times. Has outrun his teammate in that series, Corey LaJoie. So I think Justin Haley, it's going to be a little bit of growing pains, I think, for Colleague, running a car each and every week. Don't expect them to be in the top 10 or top 5 every week, but are going to have some good runs. And Justin Haley is an accomplished driver and is getting a lot of seat time with Spire. Even though he is running some time in the back of the pack, it's that seat time, I think, that's going to translate to the success of this Colleague team. And we have an opportunity to take the checkered flag whenever AJ Allmendinger is there on the road course. So yesterday it's made official. Amanda texted me, sent me a link on Instagram to the NASCAR report, which we'll read in a minute, that Brad Keselowski is officially named the driver and part owner of Roush Fenway Racing in 2022. This is Keselowski's really second foray into ownership, as he had a successful truck team years ago, Brad Keselowski Motorsports, which really gave the rise to names like Daniel Hemrick, Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Parker Kligerman. He had a really talented roster of drivers that were in the fold, and Brad will end his 12-year relationship with Penske at the conclusion of this year, which is a successful one for him and Penske. They collected the championship together in 2012, the final year of Dodge in the sport. So Dodge went out as a champion. 34 races won, finished second in the points last season. And it looked as if Brad Kay's exit was on the horizon for a while. He only signed a one-year extension last year. That was really suspicious. And now with the rise of Austin Cindric, you feel that Brad Kay had done his time here. This year, only one win and only 5 top 5s and 5 top 10s. So a bit of a disappointing season, and he led the last lap at Talladega. So it was kind of an upset win, if you will, for him at Talladega this year. But it just seems like the writing's been on the wall for a while. Brad Kay has not seemed too engaged with the team lately. And when the rumors started swirling a couple months ago, this was going to be a reality. It was only a matter of time before it became official. But now that leads to two things here. What happens with the 2 car? Do they put somebody else completely there? Does Timmy Hill get a shot to be the driver of the 2 car? Not likely, but anything can happen. But I think all signs point toward Austin Cindric, who is the top prospect at Penske. He's having a wonderful season, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff-like season. And then we say the name Wonderful, you have to throw in Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. It's like a rite of passage. But he likely will probably maybe have a shot to repeat as the Xfinity champion. So he deserves to really insert himself into that 2 car immediately. That 2 car's had a lot of success. And I think the crew chief changed when Keselowski lost Paul Wolfe as his crew chief. I think that was sort of the beginning of the end for him and Penske. Enjoyed a lot of success with Paul Wolfe, but has done really well with Jeremy Bullins this last year to finish second in the standings and to get that win this year. So Brad Kay, a lot of people are saying goodbye to his winning days, nonsense like that. This is a great move for Roush Fenway Racing. This is an organization that has, let's just be honest, has been shit for a number of years. They made the playoffs with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 2017. He got the 2 wins. It was kind of sort of his coming up party, if you will. It was dating Danica Patrick at the time. All was right in the world for Ricky Stenhouse. But that organization was just missing something. Trevor Bayne, who was seen as a real top prospect, his career basically ended with Roush Fenway Racing. Matt Kenseth left. Carl Edwards left. Greg Biffle basically didn't retire. He just didn't come back. So this organization hasn't been a factor, a real strong team since about 2014. And the glory days, we know what Mark Martin has done in that car. Jeff Burton, when he was in the 99 car. It created Matt Kenseth and Kurt Busch. They won championships for that organization. It made them. So to get back get them back to being elite and having that illustrious numbers that they've had through the years. Brad Keselowski's the right driver to do that. He's the right guy to do that. He's going to bring in some great personnel. I think this team is going to, I don't know what they're going to do with Buescher. I think that seat could remain open. Buescher is a young talent and is a very good driver, I think, for the future. But are they going to go a different direction? Could they get Harrison Burton? Could they get somebody from the Xfinity Series that has shown a lot of promise? There's a lot of seats open. Who do they bring in? Ryan, and that leads back to Ryan Newman. Will Ryan Newman, could Keselowski take the 17 car and keep Newman? That's a possibility too, but it's highly unlikely. This seems like this is fairly similar to what Tony Stewart did when he was brought in as a partial owner with CNC Haas that became Stewart Haas Racing. He brought in Ryan Newman, so he brought in quality drivers. I think at the time they had Scott Riggs as their driver, and I can't even remember who the other driver was, but again, you could see the writing was on the wall that things were going to change, and things changed for the better. I think there's going to be a lot of criticism for this decision from Brad Keselowski. Is it the right one? I think it is. I think Brad Keselowski is made the right decision to become an owner driver with Roush Fenway Racing. This team will have a chance to get back to past glory. I don't know how long it's going to take, but Brad Keselowski is a talented driver and is a driver that has won everywhere he's gone, except for Hendrick because he didn't have enough time there. But this is a guy who won in the James Finch Mikasuki Indian Gaming car, the famous 09, all those years ago. So this is a talented driver that can win. And Ryan Newman, he's at the tail end of his career. I know keeping him here, I'm not sure if it's a priority or what is going to be the case here. But I just don't see him being a part of this team next year. And as for the other car, we all know Austin Cindric was slated to drive the 21. That's something that could still very well take place. Does Penske... I know there's a rich history with that 2 car. Going back to the days when Rusty Wallace drove. Kurt Busch drove that car. Does that team just fold operation? Cease operation? I don't think it's likely, but Matt DiBenedetto was not going to drive the 2 car. For all the folks out there, Matty D to the 2, it's not going to happen. If anything, Matt DiBenedetto would remain in the 21 car. So it could be a win-win for him. But let's go to the NASCAR report and see what everyone is saying. Todd Manger says Matty D to the 2. No. Not going to happen. Might, you never know, but I don't think so. And NASCAR Fan 49 says no. Zol Otiro says yes to Todd Manger. Quapple Nation to Todd Manger. Probably Cindric will go to the 2, and WBR will keep Dibby, Wood Brothers Racing. And Kyle X Larson to Quapple Nation. No. And then Kyle X Larson to the Quapple Nation. Dude, I swear to God. And he's got the emoji, the crying face. And then DR_04 to Todd Manger. I say Cindric gets it, and WBR keeps Matty D. That's what he said, you idiot. Colt Marcel 18 says to Todd Manger. More likely, there's going to be a reconsideration, as instead of Cindric going to the Wood Brothers and Matty D getting the boot, he's probably going to stay, and Cindric goes to the 2. And Lie DKE 28 says no to Todd Manger. Rebel VA Outlaw to Todd Manger. No, he's going to be in the 21. Who? Pronouns. Who? Are we talking about Cindric or are we talking about Matt DiBenedetto? God's sakes. Race Boy 4 is the Quapple Nation. Brad, I think the contract is like Eric Jones in 2017 when he signed with Furniture Row Racing. And Carl left and couldn't go to Gibbs, and he's already under contract with Furniture Row Motors. Eric Jones didn't go to Front Row Motorsports. So I have no idea what this individual is talking about. But anyway, he did drive for Front Row. No, excuse me, he drove for Furniture Row. So let's not get the rows mixed up here. Filipino Machado. It's got the... I guess that looks like the diamond cutter, for fuck's sake. I think it's like the clapping emoji. I don't know what the fuck that is. RSPL James Rowe to Colt Marcel. Cindric, most definitely. He'll be backed by PPG and all the other Penske sponsors. I think the sponsors will want Cindric in the 2. And then Roberts 4 to Todd Manger, Cap. And then Todd Manger to the Quapple Nation. You're probably right. Matty D stays in the 21 and Cindric to the 2. Never know, though. And then we have what's my Instagram to Todd Manger Cindric. So then we have Nathan Botel to Todd Manger. No. And then Tyler D to Zol Otoro. Nah, Cindric in the 2 and Matty D stays in the 21. And then Zol back to Tyler. Cindric is already confirmed to the 21. Yeah, but this was barring knowing that the information we know now that Keselowski's not with the 2 anymore. Zol Otoro to Zol Otoro. If not, he'd be the 1, 2, and 3 candidates. Ha, ha, ha. And 24 Byron Fan with the line up the tread. Natalie Decker to the 2. Make it happen, Roger. Make it happen. Put Decker in there. Not going to happen. Decker will be reduced to doing whatever she does. Posting her ass pics on Instagram. NASCAR 489 to Mr. Robert. He knows a lot about the cars, and he can get sponsors. So he could help boost Roush back up to winning. So that's, I guess, in defense of Brad Keselowski, which I think is correct. And the replies to the Natalie Decker comment from Byron Fan. KB NASCAR Fan 18 to the Byron Fan. I want to throw up just reading that. Yeah, it's absurd, isn't it? And then we have Nikki Di Girolamo. Great Italian name, huh? What drugs are you on? And then the official Ian Perez. I hope that was a joke, lol. And then we have Tyler Black9, the Byron fan, with the crying, laughing emoji. And then Jordan Collections, the Byron fan. What are you smoking? Laughing face emoji. And we have D-Tank73888. To Byron fan. OMG, yes. That would be a huge deal for Penske. Only upside for her from here for her. Great move. 2-team back into championship form down the line with that one. And then Earnhardt fan productions to Byron fan. You better be joking, boy. B-O-I. And you're going to be on a lot of lists. And then Braden Weeks says to Byron fan, people don't get jokes, eh? Question mark. Is he from Canada? Outlaw 24 to Byron 24 fan. Laugh my ass off. No way to hell. She drives a cup ride. And then we have the line of the night. I think Amanda read this yesterday. I just want to read it for you folks before I go off this tread here. Anyway, it was something along the lines of if she retires from Cup, she has a future on the OnlyFans site. Anyway, there's a lot of people out there that are really into Natalie Decker right now. So the Xfinity Series, Kyle Busch wins a record 100 Xfinity wins, leads 122 laps, 3 for 3 in all of his Xfinity starts in 2021, 360 career starts, 54 cars, fifth win of 2021. It's mighty impressive. And JGR's 178th Xfinity win. Busch reflected in his... he had a reflection in his winner's circle speech of Mark Martin. He remembers Mark Martin in the 60 car in what was then the Busch Series in the 90s, and his string of runs. And quite reminiscent of that is what he's doing here in the 2000s, 2010s with this, what it was, the 54 car, the 18 car, his own. I think he ran his own Xfinity races and Cup and races for Joe Gibbs, but won at 29 different tracks in the series and had 16 different crew chiefs. And among those crew chiefs, we won't list them all here, but Dave Rogers, who he's worked with in Cup. He's had Jim Long, Lance McGrew, Chad Walter in his days with Hendrick, Jason Radcliffe, Adam Stevens, who he won the championship with, Chris Gale, who was on the pit box for this one, Eric Phillips, one of his guys, and Ben Bayshore, who is his crew chief at the moment. So we talked last week about the greatness of Kyle Busch. He's 12th on the all-time starts list. If the final two starts are going to be his final two starts in the series, he would be at 362 starts, passing Mike Bliss with the start on Saturday, a race that he did win. And I think the greatness goes back to here. So he has the 1 wins, 100 for him in the Busch Series, second only to Mark Martin. Record that will likely stand for a while, if not to the end of time. First in second place finishes at 54. Harvick's got 46. So Harvick's on the heels of him, but I don't know how many more races Harvick's going to run in the series. Top 5, he's first, 223. Harvick's at 186 wins. Top 10s, he's first, 261. Harvick has 260, so that could be tied or matched, depending again on how many Harvick runs. Could be snapped by Justin Allgaier, but he's 58 away from tying. I don't even know how long Allgaier is going to remain in this series. And poles, he's first, 70. Logano is second at 36. So you just keep going through the record book. And a lot of people hate on this guy for, whipping some of the younger folks here, but he's put up quite the legacy. But we'll get to his comments in a bit. Laps, he's 10th. Completed laps, 64,516. Laps led, he's first at 19,986. Harvick is at 9,706, so that looks safe. He's the 2009 champion, and he said a number of years ago that he would retire once he reached that 100 mark, and Busch was scheduled to drive 2 more races, Road America and Atlanta, so that could become 2,000. That could be 101 and 102. And Busch doesn't think Joe Gibbs Racing has sold any Xfinity races for him in 2022, and so this could conclude his career in those 2 events that he has allotted to run in his 5 per season, and Ty Gibbs could very well go full-time in the 54 car in 2022. So that could put an end to Busch and the Xfinity Series, and that would make a lot of people fairly happy, I would assume. And Busch said, "Did you hear the crowd?" And this is in his post-race speech. "Nobody likes me. I get beat up wherever it's the fans or the media. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing it for? Why am I beating on the little guys? I love winning. If I can win, if I can't win on the Cup Series side, hell, I may quit and come back and run Xfinity full time." So you have to, again, it's very easy to be critical of why he runs Xfinity races, truck races, and anytime he's there, he's the odds-on favorite to take the checker flag. We know this. But you have to appreciate the competitiveness of him and the wanting to win. Wanting to win. And that's why we do what we do, right? We want to be successful. We don't take on any ventures just to be so-so at it. We do this because we want to win and be successful. So you can't really fault Busch for that. And Justin Allgaier finished 2nd place here. Consecutive week, he has been the bridesmaid to Kyle Busch. And 6th top 5 of 2021, 5 in the last 7 races. And it led 11 laps here. And had the lead at some point in this race, but Busch was able to overpower him and just check out and leave Allgaier in the dust. Harrison Burton, a 3rd place finish here. 3rd place finish of 2021. And 4th top 5 of 2021. No wins this year is a damper on a pretty decent season for Harrison. 4th in the points and has been overshadowed by the 54 car success indeed. And Josh Berry, a 4th place finish, his final run in Junior Motorsports' 8 car. Gradually improved weekly, capped off by winning at Martinsville. And a 4 top 5 finishes, and we'll get some seat time in Jordan Anderson's car and some trucks for Wackley Racing, I imagine, for the rest of 2021. But is got to be in line for a full-time ride somewhere in the Truck Series or the Xfinity Series for 2022, whether that's with Junior Motorsports or someone else. And AJ Allmendinger, a 5th place finish, 9th top 5 of 2021, remains 2nd in the points, 3 weeks consecutively in the top 10, and the best of the Kaulig cars, and is a real strong candidate to win the championship, and that would be a really great story to see AJ Allmendinger as a NASCAR champion. Really should have had Kart survived, would have been a multiple-time Kart champion. And Brandon Jones, a 6th place finish here, 4th consecutive top 5 finish, remains 8th in the standings. And Jeb Burton, a 7th place finish, 9th top 10 of 2021, 6th in the points, 11th time this season that at least 2 of the Kaulig cars have run inside the top 10. So they're clearly head and shoulders above the competition in the Xfinity Series. And Noah Piece of Shit Gregson gets himself an 8th place finish here. 2nd consecutive top 10. Only for the 2nd time this year, Josh Berry to the 9 and 22. Dale Jr., if you're listening, which you're probably not, but if you are, make it happen. Austin Hill, a 9th place finish in his first Xfinity start of 2021. 11th career start, and will likely move up to the Xfinity Series at some capacity in the not-so-distant future. This guy's got a lot of talent. And Riley Herbst, a 10th place finish. First top 10 since Talladega, and he's 13th in the points. 13th, 2 points below the playoff cut line. And not sure if he'll end up in this car beyond 2021. I think there's a lot of high standards at Stewart-Haas Racing, and Riley Herbst could be, for the second time in 2 years, fired from a top-tier ride in the Xfinity Series. Might be time to start looking for other options, but I don't think Riley Herbst will be a playoff team, a playoff caliber driver with a playoff caliber team this year. Just look what Chase Briscoe did in that car a year ago. Riley Herbst has done a great job of shitting the bed, has he not? Brendan Brown, 30th place, loses his brakes, 30th place finish. 12th, remains 2 points above the cut line, becoming a proverbial fan favorite among the Xfinity fans. And the other disappointment of the race has to be Dale Jr. Come on, man. You know the guy's name. It's a bit of an unusual name for a man, but Jade Buford, the standout, road course standout, who's been running for Scott Bruschetta's team. That is the same Scott Bruschetta, music producer. Did a show called I can't remember the name. It was on CTV in Canada and Fox in the US. It was had featured mentors. Like, it's almost along the same vein as like American Idol or whatever was the other talent show, The Voice, whatever it is. It has not come to me. But anyway, it produced a couple of minor superstars, I guess, that had a few hits on the radio. But Scott Bruschetta was the driving mind behind that. But Jade Buford's done okay in that car. You know, he's a road course guy getting his experience. Appeared on American Ninja Warrior. But for whatever reason, Dale Jr. kept calling him Joe Buford. Come on, Dale Jr., you know better than that. Fuck, man, do your homework. Joe Buford. And Jeff Burton even said Jade, and then Dale Jr. proceeded to say Joe again. So, guess Jade Buford is no ordinary Joe. The Truck Series now. Ryan Preece wins the Truck Series race in his Truck Series debut, and now the 5th driver in Series history to win in his first ever appearance in the series. First truck race in 10 years at Nashville. Was criticized for really being not an entertaining race, but the second win for David Gilliland Racing and Corsley Racing. Preece took the lead from Grant Enfinger with 7 laps remaining, and this was his first win for Chad Johnston, a former Cup crew chief with Kyle Larson, and with Michael Waltrip Racing, Chip Ganassi, Stewart-Haas to take the checkered flag here. And Preece, as a Cup regular, has raced for JTG Doherty, as we know, since 2019. And with the season winding down, his future with that team could be up in the air. And as a driver who now owns a win in 2 of the 3 top series, still looking for that Cup win. But Preece should be a candidate for either a truck ride or Xfinity ride if he doesn't remain in Cup with JTG Doherty. And he will race for Corsley Gilliland Racing again at Pocono this weekend. Ryan Preece is a talented driver. We know all his about his accolades and things he's achieved in modified racing. And I think he's had a lot of talent. He's really made chicken salad out of chicken shit with that JTG Doherty car. Run as an open car soon, I think, or whatever the case. Their charter is done. So maybe it's time for Preece to put the Cup Series in his rearview mirror. It was a nice experiment. Go back to the Truck Series, similar to what John Hunter Nemechek did, or other drivers in the past who have scaled back, Justin Allgaier, to the Xfinity Series. Cut your teeth there, get some wins, compete for championships, find your way back to the Cup Series, and do it in winning fashion. But Ryan Preece, you have to recognize that this guy is a multi-talented driver that belongs somewhere full-time with security in 2022. Todd Gilliland, 2nd place finish. 4 consecutive weeks he's in the top 10. His father, David Gilliland, was on the pit box serving as the crew chief for this race, so gets beat by dear old dad's team there, and Chris Lawson was ejected from the race prior to the event. I guess they failed inspection or something that NASCAR didn't like. 4th in the points, and Gilliland is off to his best season. Last month and a half has been just stellar in the trucks. Best season for him, and is really going to be one of those sleeper picks in the championship. But tough to lose to your dad's team, and It's hard. But Grant Enfinger, another guy, leads 39 laps here. It's looked to be just minutes away from winning here. Dream season continues. 4 top 5s in 2021, 4 in the last 5 weeks, and 6. 6 in the standings. No worse for him than 17th. So if he were to get that waiver, I know he missed that one race, wasn't eligible for the championship, but if he can get that waiver, get that win somehow, he's another one. Sleeper pick for the title. Has been a regular in this series for a few years now and has looked really solid this year for Grant Enfinger. Zane Smith, a 4th place finish. His first top 5 of 2021. 8th top 10 finish of the season. 5th in the standings. Zane Smith hasn't had the season he did last year, but again, once the playoffs unfold, it's anybody's game, right? Stuart Friesen, 5th place finish. 3rd top 5 of 2021. 9th in the points. 2nd top 5 in the last 3 races. And Matt Crafton finished 6th. His 5th top 10 of 2021, and he is 8th in the points. Ben Rhodes, a 7th place finish, 10th top 10 of 2021, and 8th top 10 in the last 9 races, remains 2nd in the points. It'll be a shootout between him and John Hunter Nemechek, probably for the championship at this rate. And Ty Majeski has 8th place finish, 2nd consecutive top 10, and it was his 2nd start of the year. 5th career top 10 finish in 18 career starts. And Austin Hill, a 9th place finish, 4 consecutive top 10, 9th top 10 in the last, 9th top 10 in the last 10 races, and remains 3rd in the points. And the team is looking really strong, the Hattori Racing team that has won the title in upset fashion with Brett Moffitt in 2019. Can they do the same here with Austin Hill? That would be quite the story indeed. And John Hunter Nemechek, 10th place finish, ending his consecutive win streak at 2, and 10 top 10 finishes for the season of 2021. It remains 77 points ahead of Ben Rhodes in the title fight, and 3 races remaining before the playoffs for the Truck Series. And William Byron, in his Truck Series return, finishes 36th. An engine failure ended his night for Wackley Racing, and his first truck race since 2016. So quite a while for William Byron. Feels like that was an eternity ago that he was in the Truck Series, full-time driver. So for Pocono now, Denny Hamlin, 5 drivers to look out for in this double. Denny Hamlin, 6 Pocono wins, won a race. He's gonna win. Has a shot to win at least one of the double races. Last year he did. Was second in the second race of 2019. He won, swept in 2006, and second race of 2009, and the first race of 2010. So those were his 6 wins. Seems to be sort of a faded memory of days gone by. His strong runs the early part of the season. Desperate need for the win. Looks to be pretty good in the playoff picture, but would like to have that win, as he is winless in 2021. And 11 team needs a boost. 1-2 finishes in the last 3 Pocono races, and top 10 in the last 5 Pocono races. A win would tie Jeff Gordon at 7 for the all-time wins on the Tricky Triangle. And Eric Almirola has 2 career top 5s at Pocono. Both came in the doubles last year. And fresh off his first top 5 of the season at Nashville, can keep the momentum going. He's 28 in the points, as we know, needs a win to make the playoffs. And a win here would keep that streak alive at 4, and would put any speculation to him returning to this car next year, and really put those early season struggles in the rearview mirror. He won the first race of the double last year, second in the second race of the double of 2020, and last 13 Pocono races, he has 1 win, 9 top 5s, 11 top 10s. And excuse me, in need of a win, I said. He looks like he's good in the playoff picture, but 5 of his top 5s were runner-up finishes in that streak he has of top 5s of 9 there. So it's really good at Pocono. I think a win here gets him in. I know he's going to make the playoff anyhow, but would feel a little more comfortable, I think, going in as a winner. And Eric Jones is another driver to keep your eye on in 8 Pocono starts. 5 top 5 finishes, the best of a second. That was in 2019. And 6 top 10s in 8 starts. Could be an upset driver if he wins, and could just, against dash any plans for Chris Buescher and Tyler Reddick of making the playoffs, put the heat on them. There'd be one position available. And Kyle Larson, how could you not? In 12 career starts, his best finish is second. That was in the June race of 2018. 3 top 5s in the last 12 races at Pocono. 6 top 10s in 12 races. And is the hottest driver on the circuit. Why not pick him, right? And as we know, the last Hendrick driver to sweep Pocono was Dale Jr. in 2014. So that's a wrap. I'm going to wave the checkered flag on this episode, and hope I didn't piss off too many people today with my comments about equality and First Nations people. But that's what it is, right? That's how I feel, and don't like it, don't listen. But for you who do want to continue to keep listening and keep supporting this podcast, please do. It's greatly valued, and I wanted to wish everyone a very nice weekend. Enjoy Pocono, truck racing, double in the Cup, Xfinity, basketball playoffs, if you're really into that right now. Hawks got embarrassed by the Bucks last night, so hopefully I'd like to see the Hawks and the Suns really as the final. I think that would be the final that everybody would like to see. Some really good young talent. 2 great coaches, Nate McMillan and Monty Williams. If you're into baseball, let's hope Arizona breaks that winless drought on the road. Betting on them to do that with San Diego, but San Diego is a very strong opponent. What else is going on? I know in Canada here, there's the Canada Day, which is our Independence Day, is on Thursday. I am not going to be celebrating that in solidarity with my native family across this country. Unfortunately, our voice will be heard, whether anyone likes it or not. I'm not going to disparage anybody here, whether you're African American, Caucasian, my other part of my heritage, Spanish, whatever the case may be. This is our country, and I am very proud to be a Mi'kmaq, and I am I'm really glad that our heritage and our story is being recognized. But it just, that's what I'm doing. But anyway, if you, for those who are going to celebrate traditionally, well, I hope you have a great celebration. But I won't be. And I'm just grateful for Amanda. We recently celebrated our 1-year anniversary as partners, and she is an incredible woman, and I don't know where I'd be without her, and she is the light in my life. And I just, on that note, would like to wish everyone a great day and a good week, and I will see you next time on Watching, Winning, and Wrecking. Goodbye.